Hello folks! Just before we get cracking with part 2 of the head gasket replacement on the Rover 75, I'd just like to say something based on a lovely comment I got on the first episode from a fellow YouTube friend, Rob from Beards and Bangers, where he appreciated that I did the video so detailed. And on basis of that, I want to explain why I do it. And that is because I feel that many of the videos that are out there of similar things, I feel that there are so many of the niggly little details around doing a job like this has been cut off because there are, let's face it, people are very impatient these days. I'm not saying everyone is, but very many people is. And I feel that many videos of similar stuff out there are made to please impatient people that cannot bear to watch the small little details that are around the main subject itself. And for someone that can be a little bit problematic because all the small little details around making a video or doing a job like this, is there are very often tons of small nuts and bolts and small little clips that has to be removed and all niggly little things that can actually cause you headaches. That adds quite a lot adds a lot to the time you spend of doing a job like this. That can cause a great deal of frustration before you even get to the job you are supposed to do. And the point with me making so many episodes of this is because I want to show you the real life, the reality of doing a job like this. All those small little details that can be useful for some people. So just to make a point, if 9 out of 10 cannot have patience to watch this, yeah, fair enough. But if it can help one single person out of 10, I am happy to help that one person gaining possibly confidence to do a job like this, when you can be prepared for what kind of stupid little challenges you can meet that often people don't even think about. And yeah, that's what I like to see as well, because many of the videos out there that is made for these types of jobs seem unrealistically easy and quickly done, and that's not often the case. So all these small little details I will like to show you. So if you appreciate to see that, if it can be helpful for you, I am very glad to make these videos so that possibly you can gain confidence to do a job like this yourself. So yeah. So now that I have that said, let's crack on with part 2 of the head gasket replacement. And so far, thank you for watching. Okay, let's crack on. What we will start to do now is timing up the engine so that we can put in the flywheel locking tool. And before we do that, I have to put the car in neutral so I can rotate the engine freely. Where did I put the key? So there we are in neutral. Now, to rotate the engine, we need a 22 millimeter to the bolt on the crankshaft pulley, and rotate the engine so we can see the timing marks aligning here. So here is the crank pulley. A little bit tight down here, but so now I have the wrench and the 22 millimeter on the bolt on the crank. So let's slowly start turning it clockwise, and to we get the timing marks to align against each other on the middle here. Now if you go a little bit past the timing marks, you just turn it another round, so that's not a bad thing. Now we are closing up. A little bit more. Oh, almost. There we are. So now, oops, here you can see exhaust, inlet, and oh, excuse me, you can see that little groove indentation there on the cam gear, and there they have to meet up with each other like that. So now we have to go down to the bottom pulley and see if the timing mark is sitting correctly on the crank. I'll bet it is, because it hasn't been touched since the car or the engine run last time. But let's go down and check if everything is correct. And now, if you see in here, there are, oops, oh, a little bit. If you see the indentation there on the crank pulley and the little mark line on the lower timing cover, they meet up perfectly, and that means we have the timing absolutely correct, and we can now install the flywheel locking tool. Okay, now the flywheel locking tool is supposed to go in. I have already done a test fitment of it just to make sure it fits on the 75 with an automatic transmission, because I wasn't sure about it. And the bolts you use to fasten it are the bolts from the starter motor. Quite simple. Now, it is supposed to go in there. You see the opening for the starter motor. Now I have absolutely no chance whatsoever to film while I'm doing it. I need both my hands for it, and I don't have a stand or anything to put my phone on for recording, so I just have to do it without recording. But you see the two bolt holes on each side of the opening there. I will show you when I have refitted the locking tool, so you can see how it is done. Okay, so now it is in place like that. It is a bit fiddly to line it up correctly, so the tap goes in between two teeth on the flywheel, and a way to make sure it is actually aligned correctly is that the nut has to be flush with this point on the tool, because if it isn't, then you are only squeezing on the flywheel. So so when they are sitting flush, you have installed it correctly. It is a little bit fiddly. I have messed around with this for half an hour, and this is one of the cases why cases in point why I do these detailed videos, because small details, small niggles can cost you quite a bit of extra time. So now let's see if the engine is actually locked from going around or turning. That is not moving. So great, then we can remove that, and then I will get a breaker bar and get the lower bolt loose. Okay, so now we'll see if we can break the bolt loose and we don't have any catastrophes. Oh, I cannot full, and I need quite a bit more force for this, so I will have to show you afterwards. I need both my hands for this, because these bolts are on very, very tight. I now managed to crack it loose, and like this. Oh, come on, a little bit more. Oh, there we go. Now it's nice and loose, so now I think I can just take the rest of it with my fingers. So I can just turn it out by hand, and it isn't stuck on here either. It loosens off immediately. I'm not using power tools for this, because not everyone has power tools. There we are. It is a little bit rusty, so I think I will. It looks still quite good. It is has a bit of surface rust on it. I'll have to see if I will order a new one or not. That, and now you can see inside here, you see those two little, what should I say, dots on the end of the cam gear, and right between there you have a little line, as you can see, now sits in the middle of those two dots. That means that the timing is correct. So now we can take off the lower timing cover, and these are the same 8mm and as the top ones. Now when I start removing the lower timing cover, I will start with the bolt that sits in there behind the power steering belt tensioner, because that is in a little bit of awkward position. I know many remove the timing belt, no, not timing belts, but power steering belt tensioner, but I'm not going to do that, because I can actually get access with it with one of these 8mm it is. I've already checked first, so I don't make a fool out of myself. So in there, I don't know if you can see anything of this at all. There it is. Oops. There, and loosen it like that. You need a little bit of patience for this. There we are. Just take it little by little. this is definitely not the fun part of doing this, but it will probably get worse when we get to the exhaust downpipe and manifold bolts and no nuts, I mean. I think you get the point. I will just get that bolt out and get back to you when I start on the last ones. Oh, finally, the lowest bolt is out. That sits behind there. God almighty, that was a test of patience. Even for me, I am quite patient, and I was really stretching it, I must say. So, let's get the other ones off. My God, I think I wasted about 10 minutes fiddling that out. So next time I think I will remove the power steering belt tensioner, because that was almost a nightmare. Not strong enough. That was 9, not 8. Ah, there we are. I think we have a couple of them a little bit longer up as well. Yeah, I think I'll have to go on the top. Okay, the last one is actually up here, so we'll have to take it from underneath then. It is there. It is. Ah, ouch. I'll get back to you when this one is out, because it's easier with 2 hands. Okay, so now the last bolt is out, so now we can try to wiggle the cover out without ruining anything. Like this. Now it is out. Finally. So now what I like to do with this, as anything else, put the bolts in like this, so I know where they are. Now it's time to get the timing belt tensioner off, and that is located right here. And then we loosen this bolt for the tensioner. This is a 10 millimeter. Like that. A little bit too hard yet. There we are. So we can get the tensioner off. Oh, we have to take the belt off first. The belt is loose. We can take out the tensioner. Looks like it's an original part actually. That's a bit weird, considering this is an 18-year-old car. Let's see how... I had the impression that the timing belt isn't all that old, because the head gasket was done like 60,000 kilometers ago in 2015. It is a Gates power grip belt, and it has, oh dear, and it's an original Rover belt. Crikey, has this belt hasn't been changed when they did the head gasket. Hey, look at this. This hasn't gone 60,000 kilometers. I don't believe it. This is the original belt. Yeah, look, it's cracking. It isn't like it would snap like any minute, but yeah, this has been here for almost 100,000 miles then. It looks like they have actually reused the old belt. A brand main dealer has reused the original belt on the head gasket replacement. Absolutely mind-blowing. Well, yeah, whatever. Jesus Christ, I just cannot believe it. Yeah, well, enough of that. Now, before I do anything else now, I will now drain the coolant. And for that I have a handy little tray for that, so that I can move on to the water pump. Okay, so now we start with removing the cap on the coolant reservoir, like this. And then we go underneath the car. And you'll need a set of pliers like this to get the hose clamps off. So you can see I have that's actually a 45-liter tray, so that will be plenty enough for the small capacity of coolant the 1.8 liter actually has. I can arrange my tool a little better, like that. Oops. Like that, and wiggle it off. Oops. Oh yeah, I just broke it. There it is. Starting to grip. I need two hands for this because this is only clumsy. I think you get the point of this. Let's try and see if that works. Yeah. try to be careful because I don't get splattered in my face and all. Oh, come on. Yeah. So I'll just have to swap you around. There you can see. We'll just let that leave this alone to empty itself out. So we can take the water pump. And now, while the coolant is just dribbling away, I'll start removing the air filter housing. Just loosen it on this side here. There's probably a better tool to do this with, but oh, come on. Ah. There it is. Slightly loose. Oh dear God. Now it is loose. There we are. Now that's loose. Sorry if that was very chaotically filmed. That is. Oh my God. Now I'll just start lifting the air filter housing up. Oh, come on. Okay, I'll try to put you up in some way or another because I need both my hands to do this. Just a moment. Okay, let's try. Failed. Jesus. Now the air filter housing is out, like this. I don't loosen it there because it's just too fiddly. So let's get this out of the way. You see, it's just 2 tabs there, and the cold air intake there. And there's where the little tabs are going out. They're just push fit down in there, and that's where the cold air intake is. So now we have a little bit more space here, and then we can also access one of the engine's bleeding points, or the coolant system's bleeding points. I will actually try to install a aftermarket bleeding device up here somewhere, because why they have put the only bleeding point on the engine on a point that isn't the highest on the cooling system? It might be me that's stupid and don't understand anything, but to me at least it isn't logical. So yeah, I'll see what I can source and refit, or retrofit rather, on the cooling system to make it a little bit easier to bleed, because it is a little bit of a faff to bleed these. So yeah, now it sounds like it has started to dribble, so or almost, or a little bit more. So I'll guess I'll leave this for a little while and move on to the water pump soon. Now I think it's time for tea. what do we have here? Which one to choose? I think Tetley today. That feels very appropriate. Whoops. Lovely. Oh yes. Now, And I'd like some milk in my tea, but unfortunately I'm out of it, so just sugar will have to do today. Yes. Let's not get too much. I can handle tea without milk because I'm Scandinavian. Like that. That almost makes life worth living. Lovely. So let's not get too carried away now. So we see I need to swap you around like this, because now I will just reconnect the lower hoses so that I can move on to the water pump I've been shouting about for numerous times now. Like that. Now the lower radiator hose is connected onto the thermostat, so now I can move this tray so I can loosen the water pump. Now it's time for the water pump, and that is fastened by some 8mm bolts. You can see one there, and there is two behind here and one a bit lower down. If you think it's a little bit difficult to see, you can always, if you already have bought a new water pump, you can take the new one as reference and see roughly where the bolt holes are. And it sits like this on the engine, and you can see two bolt holes on the end there, one there. That's for the timing cover, I believe, and there is one there and one down there, and that is it. So let's get this pump off. It is a little bit cramped down here, but it isn't hopeless. Come on. There, it is starting to loosen up. There. Always like to start with those who are least accessible. I have to take the lower one down there from underneath. So let's just get these upper ones done first. Of course, it would be easier if you had this, if I had a small what's it called again? Wrench? No. Yeah, I think it is. And some sockets, and but I have actually managed to ruin mine, so this is the method I have to use. The old-fashioned way, and patience. Did you hear that word? patience. Oops. I can even forget it myself sometimes. If you start to get impatient and irritable or frustrated, it's always a good time to take a break and have a cup of tea. And now these ones. Oh Lord. Okay, honestly, I'm not going to let you go through the pain of watching me take out each and every one of these bolts. I think you have got the point on this now, so I will just loosen them all and then wiggle out what's one. Okay, so I just had to take off the power steering belt tensioner because it was just too tight and fiddly to access the lower water pump bolt with this in place. So it is sitting in like this roughly, one bolt there and one up there, as you can see. It isn't difficult to get out, but I made one mistake, and that was I didn't pre-tension it and put a locking pin in, which I should have done. So when I got that bolt out, it just went smack, and it's now an awful lot of pressure on that, and that's not very good really, but nevertheless it's out and I can continue with the water pump. Okay, so here you can see the water pump there, and the bolt on the left side of the housing there by the pin. That is the last one to go out. And yeah, I will show you if you can see that hole there under the belt wheel, or the pump wheel, or rather. One of the fasteners to the belt cover is supposed to go in. I will show you later, because my phone went out of charge, so it's just stopped recording. So now that last bolt there will have to go out, and then wiggle the pump out. Okay, so now the last bolt is out. So now I will go on the top of the engine and give the water pump a few taps so it loosens. So now I'll just use a hammer and one of these and tap on the wheel of the water pump so we can break it loose. Now it's loose, so let's just try to wiggle it off. Oh, come on. Is it? Is the timing cover in the way, perhaps? Huh. Maybe it is. Oh, there is a bolt, tiny bolt behind there. Okay. Yeah, let's take off that then. There. A tiny little one there. You can see. I guess that's an 8mm as well. Okay. Okay, so actually I had to release the dipstick tube to get access to that little bolt behind there. And there you can see the fastening bolt to the dipstick tube. Just have to remove that so I can wiggle the dipstick tube out of the way. There we are. Another point of small, niggly, bothering little details that just doesn't seem like a big deal, but it takes so much more time because you have to fiddle with this silly stuff. So now I will try to see if I can get this behind here now. Oh my god. Oh, what a joy. Come on. Oh, there. Oh, come on. Oh, come on. Oh, I have to loosen it more. I cannot get power now from my hands. Oh. Yeah, looks easy when somebody else does it. On these videos made for impatient people, it isn't. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. And there is so much stuff in the way. Sorry, I need two hands for this. I'll get back to you when I have managed to get it loose enough so I can turn it out with some other tools. Now I've managed to loosen it enough so I can just use a more handy tool and turn it out. Focus. Yeah. That's the water pump falling out. So let's get the bolt out. Oh, and not lose it. There, all the bolts for the water pump. Now the hole down there below the water pump I showed you. You have this. Oh, this one. That's going in there because you see that a groove there. That's where the upper timing belt cover slots down to. So yeah. Let's pick up the water pump. God almighty. There it is. It's got a metal impeller on it, and that's a good thing. They use so much plastic parts for these now in modern days, so it's good to see actual metal. Yeah, now I think it's time for me to call it a day. The water pump is now out. I haven't managed to do as much as I wanted to do today. That's because, as I have tried to say, you will face these little challenges with tiny little bolts and such. That's a bit inaccessible, and when you only have simple tools and not like power tools for every little small niggly thing, it will take more time. That's just the way it is. So now I'll try to tidy up a little bit here and I'm hungry. I need to have something to eat. So thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe to my little channel and videos, and I hope I'll see you later. Thank you for watching. Bye.